Hello peeps, and welcome back to yet again another pre-workout review with us, the Review Bros, and today we're going to be taking a look at Inhuman Pyro by the guys over at Afterdark, sent kindly down to us from Cross the Limit, so thank you. And we'll be putting it through all the usual paces: the taste, the price, the label and the effects, and working out if it's right for you. Generally, we've always liked the Afterdark supplements. You know, everything we've taken from them so far we've enjoyed, so will it be any different here? And if you are new on the channel, please do hit the like button, sub button, bell icon, all the usuals, it really does help us out. But today, let's get some sweat on. So, first segment of any review is taste and mixability, and it's no different here. We're going to be trying out the watermelon honey dew flavour. Sounds interesting, look. If it focuses, have a little look, see? I do quite like the tub design as well. It's got a lot going on. It's kind of manic in a sense. Like something you'd see in Stranger Things or something. It's very topical. The latest season's just come out. But anyway, let's see how it tastes. I will flash up any other flavours it comes in on the screen, and from memory there was a nice selection. So, mixability up first. Let's take a look-see. Looks good to me. That's settled there for a couple of minutes as well, and there's nothing at the bottom, so thumbs up. Let's give it a taste. Chin chin. Okay, so spicy. Holy moly, yeah, it's spicy. If you don't like spice, I'm sorry guys, you will not like this pre. This is definitely one of the spiciest ones I've ever had. Ever. Like easily in my top 3. Like just drinking it, I can already feel it heating up my internal organs. However that would work. So yeah, holy moly. I mean, don't get me wrong, you can taste the watermelon, but Christ almighty, is it spicy. Jesus, I'm now debating, is it worth just me necking it and getting it over and done with, like pulling a plaster off, or is it better that I just sip it to reduce the pain? Well, let's get through it. And obviously we'll find out what's causing that spice when we move into the label section shortly. Christ almighty guys, I might have to finish this off camera. Whew. So here's the thing. I think that the dewability, honeydew flavour, wasn't it? Kind of an unintended pun there. The dewability of the pre-workout it's not very doable. It's difficult, especially if you don't like spice. If you like spice, probably won't affect you that much. Although, do you like drinking spice? That's a different story altogether. You might like eating it, but drinking it's a different kettle of fish. Flavour-wise, I feel like if there wasn't any spice in it, the flavour would actually be really nice, but it's curbed by that intense spiciness. So anyway, without going too much off on the flavour any more than I need to, I'm going to give it, unfortunately, on this very rare occasion, I'm going to have to go below the 5, because I do think it's worse than average because of that spice element. So I'd actually give it a 4 out of 10. But with the caveat that if you don't mind spiciness, you might give it like a 6 or a 7. So, but yeah, 4 out of 10, quite hard to drink, but I'm gonna see it through to the end. Don't you worry.
A few moments
God,
later.
now I know why they call it pyro. My throat is on fire. That is, without a doubt, the spiciest pre I've ever had. It's taken the top spot, and I think I know what ingredients doing it as well. So I'll let you know in a minute. Ugh. Right guys, I'm not even going to try and act tough. That has absolutely wrecked me. I'm not good with spice. Aaron will tell you that. Right, if you want to pick this up and that sounds right to you and you love the spice, head over to crossthelimits.co.uk where you'll find this 21 serving tub on there. Using our code RB5%. God, I feel like I'm on that, what's that YouTube channel where they try the different spicy wings? Hot Ones. And you know, when they're all spiced out, they sort of lose their ability to string a sentence together. That's me right now. But anyway, you'll find it on there, and I'm glad I took notes. £37 with that discount code. When you break it down by the 21 servings per the serve, it's £1.76 a go. On our consistent price scale, where a 5 out of 10 is the bang average price point on the market, this falls in at a 4.5 out of 10. So it's only slightly more expensive than an averagely priced pre-workout. But you know, could argue, looking at the label and the effects, it could be a way better than average pre-workout. And we do have to also bear in mind we're technically getting 2 supplements in one here, because we're getting a fat burner and a pre-workout. So when you sort of factor that in, you know, it kind of has a right to be more expensive than average if it's done well and dosed well and all the rest of it, which I'm sure, you know, we'll get into in a second. There's your price point. Let's move into the label. Okay guys, let's do this, let's get into the label. And I am sorry about this being another sort of dark review, but it's only just gone 4 o'clock, or at least, well, yeah, it's 3:30 now, but how is it dark at this time already? Like, it's almost like it's after dark Supps, as your second pun, sorry. But anyway, let's stay focused. So, we got ourselves a 15-gram serving amount, 1 scoop. We got some minerals and vitamins up the top, nothing ultra specific that you're necessarily going to feel, but it's just going to work in the background, get everything working and firing as it should, you know, getting your body ticking over, you know, electrolyte balancing, all that kind of boring stuff. But anyway, let's get into the meat and potatoes of this formula. Rage and Energy Complex. Rage, I can see why. First up, we've got delayed released caffeine matrix, 400 milligrams, yielding a total of 375 milligrams of caffeine. So it's got a combination, it's a proprietary blended caffeine, interestingly. So it's filled of caffeine and hydrous dicaffeine malate and micro-encapsulated caffeine, which is another kind of slow release one as well. So they're all going to hit at different times and kind of stagger throughout your gym session to give you a more of a consistent energy rather than a harsh onset and then a come down. That's the theory at least. Like I say, we don't know, at least based on this label that I can see in front of my very eyes, how much of each caffeine source is in it. We just know the total, but you know, caffeine's caffeine at the end of the day. At least we know we're getting a total of 375, so we'll take that. Then we've got theobromine HCl at 200 milligrams, which is another mild stimulant, smooth muscle relaxant, mood booster, a little bit of energy on top. You know, it's very mild, but it does pair up nicely with caffeine, being that it is a cousin to caffeine. And then we've got Neuro Rush from coffee Arabica extract, 100 milligrams. Now this simply just helps with your focus, energy levels, a bit more mild stimulation. Then we have Yohimbine HCl, 3 milligrams, and Alpha Yohimbine, 2 milligrams. So we've got the yo-yo effect here, 2 different forms of Yohimbine, that are going to work in slightly different ways and potency, with Alpha Yohimbine being the stronger one of the two, but ultimately they're both going to do a similar thing in that they are harsh stimulants. So they're going to fire you up, get you moving, aggravate your central nervous system, and burn some fat cells. Then we move down to the Inhuman Muscular Volumization and Strength Matrix, with first up L-citrulline at 5 grams. A really nice dose there. You know, some people like to see a minimum of 6, but the truth is, as long as we're getting 3 grams or more, it will have some effect. And 5 grams is a nice, firm, happy medium amount. I'm pretty sure most people will be okay and get good results with that. It is a precursor to nitric oxide. So it's going to help to increase nitric oxide levels, blood flow, pump, nutrient delivery, oxygen delivery, all that good stuff. Staple pump ingredient. Followed up with beta-alanine at 3.5 grams, a little bit above the usual 3.2 gram amount that we see. Another amino acid, gives that itchy, tingly sensation when it kicks in, and it also helps with endurance when you take it for long enough. You build it up in your system, it helps to buffer lactic acid. I'm sure all of you know those 2 ingredients. They're in basically every pre-workout. Then we move down to the Advanced Thermogenesis and Pyrotechnics Matrix. I love this. So first up we've got Capsiburn, a trademarked ingredient, the cayenne pepper. That's what was doing it. Filled with some other peppers, I'll let you read that. And at 100 milligrams, we've also got Calorie Burn GP, Grains of Paradise at 25 milligrams. So they're both going to do similar kind of things in that they're going to increase your metabolic rate, you know, give you some thermogenesis, heat you up, give you some energy, fat burning, all that good stuff that we want from this type of product. And then we have Pro GBB, which is another trademarked ingredient at 25 milligrams. This is actually a precursor to L-carnitine. As we know, L-carnitine helps to maneuver fat cells and use them as energy source. So it's going to obviously burn fat, give you more energy, and that is what we're after. So as you can see, all those ingredients have a degree of synergy with one another. They're all kind of work in slightly different angles to achieve the same kind of result. And then we have the Neural Activation and Anti-Crash Matrix. L-tyrosine, fermented, which is nice and healthy at 1 gram. You know, it's an okay dose. 1 gram is solid, it will have some effect. So it's going to help to increase your focus and your mood. And then we've got choline butartrate at 500 milligrams. Not the best dose. Normally I like to see at least 1 gram in this form of choline. because it struggles to cross the blood-brain barrier. We prefer alpha-GPC or CDP choline as a choline donor. But in any case, what it should do is to help to increase acetylcholine levels in the brain, increasing your focus, concentration, athletic performance in the gym. Will it do it at that dose with that specific type of choline donor? Expect very, very mild results is what I will say. Then we've got DMAE, potartrate, 500 milligrams, a respectable dose, but again, not the best nootropic. It does, again, struggles across the blood-brain barrier, but it should help with your focus and concentration again. So there's a couple of ingredients so far, the last two, that I'd personally perhaps swap out for some more meaningful ingredients, but let's move on. Then we've got L-theanine at 35 milligrams, which is a really small dose. You know, it might even be one of the smallest dosages I've ever seen of L-theanine, to the point you're kind of questioning, why even bother putting it in there? But, you know, that could be a good point for a lot of you that don't like it. Maybe you're happy to see it in there at a low dose, if it's going to be in here, that is. Because sometimes if it's too high of a dose, too close to the caffeine dosage, it can dampen the stimulation of the caffeine and other stimulants to so much of a degree that it feels like a sleep aid. Or at least that's what some people say. I personally don't mind L-theanine all too much. I find that it channels, and this is what it does do, it should channel the stimulants into more of a calm, collected focus rather than a jittery, flappy mess. And it also is another anti-crash mechanism, so it will help you come down nice and smoothly from the end of your gym session after taking the pre. There's the label for you guys. Let's get down the gym and then we'll figure out the effects together. Will I survive? Okay guys, all that's left to do now is to talk about the effects of Inhuman Pyro pre-workout in the couple of times I used it. And as mentioned, it is a fat burning pre-workout. So it's trying to sort of do two things at once to a large extent. So it's obviously trying to give you your typical pre-workout things you look for, you know, your energy, your focus and your pump. But then it's bringing a fourth element to the table, fat burning. And it definitely does that. Like, this is firmly a fat burner. It's not a gimmick, it's not a muck around, it's not a friendly one. Nope, it is a fat burner that just so happens to also be a pre-workout. So as I kind of touched on in the price segment earlier, you are, with this, in this particular case, you are definitely getting two supplements for that price point. You are definitely getting a pre-workout and a fat burner. Is it perfect? Is it making no sacrifices to achieve that? No, and I'll get into that. But let's start off at the very beginning, like we always do, with that beta-alanine, and it kicks in to a medium degree. 5 out of 10 on the tingle scale, a few itches here and there, but nothing crazy. So I personally attribute that down to the fact there's a lot of different ingredients trying to digest and get through your system here. So beta-alanine does take a little bit of a backseat. But if you're someone that's not a massive fan of that, obviously it's going to be a good thing. If you love beta-alanine, you might see it as a bad thing. So there's your beta-alanine. In terms of the energy, it comes on very hard and very fast. Pause.
That's what she said.
No, but on a serious note, it does come in very quickly. It takes about 20 minutes, and then by about the 30-minute mark, 40-minute mark after you've drank the pre-workout, you're firing on all cylinders. You know, the alpha yo is very much settled into your system. All of the stimulants, the couple of nootropics they got in there start to settle in. You really do feel a sense of get up and go, and the fat burning euphoria that you get from this is very much prevalent. I don't know if you guys are well versed with fat burners in general, or the fat burning pre-workouts like it is in this case, but when you tend to take a lot of fat burning ingredients, or at least potent ones, you do tend to elicit a type of euphoric kind of feel. And that's because that's just what happens in the body when you're burning fat. It does trigger a euphoric type dopamine hit in the brain, and it's no different here. It's not like the same euphoric feel that you get from DMHA. It's kind of different, but it's also nice. It feels a bit healthier. But don't get me wrong, it doesn't feel super healthy. Obviously, burning fat is never going to be a nice feeling, but I mean, it doesn't feel illicit AF. Do you know what I mean? Like DMHA does. But anyway, let's start off with the most important factor in a pre-workout, in our opinion, and that's the energy. Because you take pre-workout primarily for an energy kick, to get you actually down the gym and enough energy to see through your gym session. So let's get that out of the way first. And the caffeine, I like the way they've done it. It's a nice staggered amount of caffeine, definitely more than sufficient for a gym session. Sees you all the way through. There was no crash, no come down. The energy held very strong from start to finish for the gym session. So I've got absolutely zero complaints where that's concerned. It feels it comes on quite harsh to start with, but then it levels off. But I do attribute that down to the Alpha Yo and the fat burners starting to settle in more so than anything else. So the energy's solid. It doesn't feel illicit, but it definitely doesn't feel super friendly either. So bear that in mind. That moves me on to the focus. And as I kind of touched on here already, most of the focus you get and euphoria, like mood boosting effect, is from the fat burners and the energy, as opposed to it being nootropics directly. So yeah, I mean, you guys have seen the label. It is a little bit on the underdose side on the nootropics. They've not got the best nootropics in here. So this is what I mean. They are making a few sacrifices with this pre-workout in order to prioritize that fat burning effect. So it seems to me that they're pulling a little bit back on the nootropics and pulling a little bit back on the pump element, and they're putting most of their skill points, gaming terms, into energy and fat burning. So yeah, the focus is there, but as I say, it's coming from a different angle to what you would normally experience. So, but nonetheless, it's solid. It is a solid amount of focus. The energy keeps you very much driven. Like, you have to put the energy somewhere, and obviously you're at the gym, you're going to put it into the weights, right? So focus is solid, even though it's not necessarily stacked with focus ingredients. So then that moves me on to the pumps. And actually, again, they've only got a couple of, well, like one direct pump ingredient in here being the L-citrulline, but again, the pumps are solid. But I do think that's because of the energy output this pre-workout gets you putting out. It really does light a fire up your arse and make you train hard and fast, and you know, you almost don't want to leave the gym. Like, I had to convince myself to leave. I was like, no, let's leave it there. So yeah, from a pump standpoint, absolutely solid. But like I said, similar to the focus side of things, it's not achieving the pumps necessarily directly through pump ingredients. It's an indirect consequence of the energy this pre's giving you. So yeah, it is ticking all the boxes, but for different reasons to normal. From a negative standpoint, I'm sure that the question you're all asking is, how strong does the alpha-yohimbine kick in? So I know a lot of people don't like that ingredient, but you also do get on the other side of the fence a lot of people that do like that ingredient. They love it, in fact. For me, and this is good news, it didn't feel as strong as what I would expect a 3 milligram dose of Alpha Yo plus the other yohimbine HCl to feel like. It felt more like a 2 milligram Alpha Yo dose. So you get that buzz, that kick up the arse, that kind of typical Alpha Yo feel, but I didn't get any of the jitters, the dribbles, the cold sweats, the inability to control myself or shortness of breath, you know, any of that, which is good. Good. Obviously, if you love that nasty feeling, then yeah, maybe look at other pre-workouts with more alpha-yohimbine. But for me, it was a nice sweet spot amount. So yeah, no negatives from where that standpoint is. So with it being a fat burning pre-workout, the other question we're going to be asking here is, how much did I sweat in my gym session, and how was the appetite suppression? So first things first, I definitely sweated more than normal. My heart rate was definitely up more than normal. A couple of sets in and I was starting to build up a real good sweat. Like, obviously with the ingredients in here, that's what it's trying to do, so it's obviously succeeding in that sense. So yeah, my heart rate was up, I was burning more calories than normal, I was way sweatier than normal, so it's achieving that. Now from the other standpoint we would look at here, like I mentioned, appetite suppression, I would say it does. I wouldn't put it on the side of the spectrum of being an intense appetite suppressant to the point where you just don't want to eat all day. I'll put it in the middle. Like, it does curb your appetite, but after 3 or 4 hours you will start to build that up again. So yeah, that might be a positive or a negative for whatever you're looking for in a fat burner. But yeah, ultimately I had a great gym session every time. It's actually a nice middle ground pre-workout. Like, I know I mentioned earlier that there's spectrums to this kind of thing, and this one is more towards the sim junkie end of a fat burner pre, but at the same time, it's not as strong as some of these crazy ones, like the Dark Lab ones, and you know, the crazy illicit, seriously strong ones. But at the same time, it's not to be trifled with. It's not a friendly one either. So I'd put it middle to high in that realm. So it's definitely strong, but it's not so strong that it ruins your day or ruins your gym session. So again, like I say, I like that. Now for the price, I do think you're getting a lot of pre-workout for the money. Obviously, you're paying a little bit more than the average pre-workout price point on the market, but in my opinion you're getting a way better pre-workout than an average one. So I do think that they could easily get away with pricing this a bit more expensive. So ultimately, what do I think? I think that you should shortlist it if you're in the market for this type of pre-workout. I wouldn't say it's incredible to the point of rush out and buy it. Like, it's not perfect. There's a few underdosed ingredients in there that I'd like to see swapped out or increase the dosages of. But at the same time, it's far from bad, so don't avoid it. I would simply say shortlist it if you're in the market for this type of pre-workout, and if my experience with it sounds right for you, if it sounds like the sort of pre-workout that would tickle your pickle. So yeah guys, that is my experience with this one. I want to know what you think. Have you used it? Do you want to use it? What recommendations would you have for this pre-workout and what they should change about it? All of the usuals. Anything else you want to see us review on this channel, let us know down below as well. And as always, stay stimmed, and you will.